Hi there. So, have you ever noticed how when somebody dies, they become a saint? They did no wrong. They were wonderful. They were always loving and kind and all of those sorts of things. All of which may have been true. They may have encompassed many of those qualities and lived them a lot of the time. But let me tell you, none of us are saints. Not me, not you, not them, nobody. And we all have our unacknowledged parts, shadow parts of ourselves, which aren't necessarily negative, they're just hidden. But then we have really negative things. People may be prone to anger, or they may be fearful, or they may be shaming, or they may be shamed. They may have whatever, whatever. They may not be punctual. It could be that. To drive my father crazy with my mother and me. But you get my drift. That there were things about them, their behavior, their personality, that were not perfect. And it was those things made them fully dimensional as a human being. They weren't this cardboard cutout that was perfect. They were a three-dimensional being that possessed a tremendous amount of wonderful things, beautiful things, and some not so beautiful things, and everything in between. Yes? You with me so far? Here's why it matters. You cannot move through your grief and really integrate their memory and their qualities and your relationship with them into your being and your own personality as you move forward, as long as you're remembering the saint. In order to really move forward and fully integrate the person who died, the relationship you had with them, your grief that's followed, you have to embrace the whole person, everything that they were, everything they were to you. I mean, one of the interesting things is often it was the quirky stuff, the less than beautiful stuff that actually we kind of liked. Yeah, maybe it's just because it made them human, but we kind of like that stuff. I mean, some of the biggest laughs that we ever have in the grief group is about this quirkiness. I did a podcast episode, The Raucous Widows. You can go listen to it, and that was what it was about. It was either their the story that they always told, and everything. The family starts rolling their eyes. It's like, oh, here we go again, or it was their most annoying habit. And you could just tell as people talked about those things that those things were endearing. Now they're not always endearing. I mean, there can be really difficult relationships, and the difficulties and the disagreements may never have been resolved. I just emailed with somebody today who was saying, she felt at peace even though they had never resolved their estrangement. This was with a sibling. So you need to get to that point. But you can't get to that point if you don't acknowledge what the real relationship was like, what they were really like, what you were like in the relationship, and all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, everything in between needs to be embraced. Without it, you can't integrate them. You can't integrate their memory into who you are. And your memories get distorted. There's some deep yearning in us that needs the truth. And until we get the truth of all aspects of the relationship, we can't move on. We need the truth. And, I have seen people grieving wonderful relationships, but even those, there was stuff. There's always stuff. It's just the nature of being in human relationships. And that is what needs to be acknowledged. So, going through the first 6 months or so, yeah, there's kind of that idealization that goes on. And after that, not acknowledging the rest of it can really keep you grieving for much longer because of that yearning for the truth. It is just so, so important to embrace that, because the minute you embrace it, you can begin to move forward. Okay? I hope this makes sense. If not, leave me some comments and send me an email, do whatever, and maybe we can talk about it further. But it's really important. Okay? You take care. Bye-bye.